Submitted for the approval of the Midnight Game Society, I call this the Tale of Prison of Khinn. Alright everyone, this is Encounter 1 of Prison of Khinn. The hero's goal is to move all around past all these monsters and exit right here. And the Overlord has 6 turns after the 6th turn to stop the heroes. If they don't exit, then the Overlord gets some bonuses for Encounter 2. Alright. First up, the Overlord now has cave spiders. We are in Act 2, so they're a little bit stronger. So they get 2 yellow dice and a blue die. They get to web, so the heroes have to use stamina to move around the master one. They get to do poison and extra damage. Next up are the zombies. They get 1 blue die, 1 yellow, and 1 red for a melee attack. They can only move once per turn with Shamble. They can grab, which has the chance to immobilize the heroes. They can disease them as well, which lowers their fatigue each turn if they fail tests, and they can do extra damage. Last up, we have the Myriads. They get to do a melee attack, but they do have reach for up to 2 spaces away. They get to use a blue die, a red die, and a yellow die. They get the flail for the master one, which is attack 2 people, 2 heroes. They can immobilize and do a bunch of extra damage, and they have a lot of defense dice. For the heroes, first up, we have Tatiana. She has nimble, danger sense, first strike, and accurate skills, and then she has the elm, great bow, and heavy cloak items. Moving along, we have Grisband. He has Brute, Charge, Rage, and Weapon Master for his skills, and then for items he has Lucky Charm, Chainmail, and Iron Battle Axe. For the Mage, we have Shalara. She has Iron Will, Runic Knowledge, and Exploding Rune for her skills. She also has Bright Blaze, and then for her items, she has Scorpion Helm, Mana Weave Ring, Sunburst, and Leather Armor. And then last up, we have the Healer of Sharon. She has Drain Spirit, Cloud of Mist, Healing Rain, and Stone Skin for the skills. And then for equipment, she has Leather Armor, Iron Shield, and Iron Spear. The Overlord draws 4 cards to start the game. They get Rise Again, Dash, Word of Misery, Word of Despair, and they're going to spend 1 threat for Veteran Council right here. So at the end of this encounter, the Overlord will get 1 more threat token for each Master Minion still alive. Then we have to give one of the heroes a Heroic token. The heroes choose to give the Heroic token to Grisbin. First up, we have to do the travel events. We start at Katheri Ruins. We have to go all the way to the Prison of Khinn. So the first step is going to be a road event. So let's go ahead and see what we get. We get this one right here. You find a hidden path and make excellent time. Do not draw a travel event card for the next travel icon. You stop at this phase. All right, so that means we are going to skip this one, and then we're going to go ahead and draw this road event. All right, let's see what the heroes get. They get this one right here. You come across a traveling merchant. Each hero tests knowledge and draws 1 search card if they pass. All right, let's start with Tatiana. Tatiana has 2 knowledge, so she has to get 2 or less and a gray and a black die. They have to go into the castle. All right, she ends up passing onto Grisbin. Sorry, she fails onto Grisbin. All right, Grisbin has 2 knowledge. He also has to get 2 or less. He also fails. Next up is Shalara. She needs to get a 4 or less. She passes, so let's see what search card she gets. She ends up getting a Warding Talisman, which allows her to get 2 more defense after defense dice are rolled. Last up is a Sharon. She needs 2 or less. She ends up failing. All right, that's the end of that travel event. All right, that was the last one, so they arrive at the Prison of Khinn. The heroes get the first turn. All right, Tatiana is going to go first. She's going to spend 2 fatigue to move 2 spaces for free. To go 1, 2 right here. And then for her first action, she's going to attack this Spectre. It has 4 health and a black die. She gets her Elm Great Bow, which is a blue die and a yellow die. She needs to get 2 range or 1 range because of her special ability. All right, let's see what she gets. She ends up getting 3 damage and then a Surge, which is pretty good. And then there's 2 defense on the Spectre die. She's going to use the Surge to do 2 more damage. So 5 damage minus 2, 3 damage goes onto the Spectre. All right, let's go ahead and place that right there. She's going to use her second action to attack the Spectre again. So let's go ahead and see what we get. Blue die, yellow die against the black. She gets, oh, that's pretty good, 3 damage and a Surge against nothing. So she's doing enough damage, and she's going to use her unused Surge to remove a fatigue. So we go ahead and remove the fatigue. And that's more than enough to take out the Spectre. And that is the end of Tatiana's turn. All right, Shalara is going to go next, but before her first action, she's going to have Bright Blaze move 4. 1, 2, 3, 4 right here. So Pierce 1 against all of those enemies. And then for her first action, she's going to move 1, 2, 3 right here. And then she's going to, with a range of 1, 2, 3, 4, she's going to use a fatigue to do exploding rune to hit those 3 right there. Like I said, she needs 1, 2, 3, 4 range, but she has a scorpion helm, so she only needs 3 range. All right, there's the fatigue spent. All right, she's going to roll a yellow die and a blue die. We're going to roll against the Spectre first, which is a black die. Let's see if she gets the 3 range first. She does get the range, so let's do this right here. She wants to do 4 damage to the Spectre, but this is gonna hit everyone. So let's go ahead and see how much more we can use. We can use this surge for plus 2 damage. So we're at 5 right there. And then this gets another surge for right there to use on this to suffer fatigue to get 2 more damage. So that's going to be 3, 4, 5, 7 damage. Let's go ahead, and that's going to take out the Spectre because the Spectre is going to take 5 damage. Let's place the fatigue for using Runic Knowledge. And then this takes out this Spectre, and then we're going to roll for this Master Spider next. It has 7 health, and a gray die, so let's see what it gets. It gets no defense. The Overlord can't do anything. Actually, they could, but they don't want to waste any threat tokens, so it takes out the Master Spider. All right, we're going to remove that off the map, and then we're going to roll for this spider next, which has 5 health and gets a gray defensive die. All right, we still have 7 damage going through. -1, so 6 damage goes through, and that takes out the spider. All right, we're going to remove this one from the map. That is the end of Shalara's turn. All right, Asheron's going to go next. She gets to go 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. She's going to attack with her iron spear on this cave spider. She gets a blue die and a yellow die, and the spider gets a gray die. She also has Bright Blaze for Pierce. Let's see what she gets. She gets 3 damage right there. 1, 2, 3 against the 3 defense, but she does get 1 Pierce, so she does 1 damage to the cave spider. Let's go ahead and put the 1 damage on right there. That is the end of Asheron's turn. Grisban's going to go next. Because Asheron will stun this spider and make it lose one of its actions, he's not going to worry about it. He needs to start moving. The goal is to exit out here. So he has to go 1, 2, 3, and then second action 1, 2, 3. All right, he will get hit by the Spectre later on for some fatigue. All right, that's the end of the hero's turn. At the beginning of the Overlord turn, the turn clock ticks up. Once this hits 6, the Overlord will get extra bonus tokens for each hero that hasn't moved out of the exit. And they also draw an Overlord card. They end up getting Unholy Ritual. They will play this at the start of their turn. They're going to choose the Myriad, so they get to draw 2 cards, and then they don't have to discard any. So let's see what they get. Let's go ahead and put that in discard. We got 1, which is Dark Resilience for healing, and then 2, Dark Charm, which allows them to take control of the hero. We're going to go ahead and think about what to do next. The Overlord's going to play this right here, Word of Misery. It's being played at the start of the turn. Each hero that suffers any damage this turn also suffers 1 fatigue. All right, the zombies get to go first. This one's going to take an action to open up this door right here. Keep that open. And second action is going to be to move 3 spaces. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, just to be a nuisance there. And then this one's going to go 1, 2, well, yeah, let's see, 1, 2, 3 right there. And then these zombies are going to go 1, 2, and then there's a special action where they can go from here to the graveyard they're crawling out. It's going to go right there. And then it has 1 more movement. It's going to go right there. This one's going to go 1, 2, special action to move out here, and then move right there. And then same thing with this one, 1, 2, action to come out right over here. That's the end of the zombie turn. The Myriads only have 1 action because of the Unholy Ritual, and this regular minion's going to close back the door, so the heroes have to re-deal with that back later. And then this master one's going to move right over here to get ready for when the heroes go through that door. So that's the end of the Myriad's turn. All right, at the beginning of the Cave Spider's activation, Asheron's special ability gives this one a stun token, and then this one will go first. It's going to use its first action to get rid of the stun. And then its second action will be to attack Asheron right here. She takes damage. She also suffers fatigue. Asheron's going to spend 1 fatigue right here for Stone Skin to get an extra grade defensive die. So then this cave spider right here gets 2 yellow dice and a blue dice. And then Asheron gets 2 gray dice and a brown die. Let's go ahead and see what rolls. And she also has her shield. All right, so the spider, let's pull this all out. This is a regular spider, not a master one. 2 damage and 2 surges. Asheron got 2 defense. she's going to use her shield to re-roll this gray die. She could have chosen to get an extra defense. She wants to get a little bit more. That was unfortunate. All right, so then let's see what the Overlord can spend on surges. We are going to do a poison and 2 damage. So 4 damage minus the 2. So Sharon takes 2 damage, a fatigue for Word of Misery, and then poison as well. Let's go ahead and do that. All right, that's the 2 damage. That's the fatigue as well as the poison right here. That's the end of that cave spider's turn. All right, this cave spider is going to go first. It's going to use its first movement right here, interrupt its movement, and attack Grisband. It gets 2 yellow dice and a blue die, and Grisband gets 2 gray dice. All right, let's see what everyone gets. Let's pull them all out. Looks like we have 4 damage and a surge against 1 defense right there. Oops, moving that all around. All right, so with the surge, we can either do poison or extra damage. We're just going to do 2 extra damage. So that's 4, 6 minus the 1. Grisband takes 5 damage and a fatigue. All right, let's go ahead and place that right there. The spider's going to finish off its movement by going right over here just to block off the doorway, so the heroes have to just kind of deal with them, which is kind of annoying for the heroes. All right, this spider's going to go next. It's going to go 1, 2, interrupt its movement to attack Grisband with 2 yellow dice and a blue dice, and he gets 2 gray die again. Let's see what he ends up getting. We got 4 damage and a surge. Oops, I have to go ahead. Give me a second. 4 damage and a surge against the 3 defense right there. They're going to spend their surge again for plus 2 damage. So 6 against 3, 3 damage, and 1 fatigue go through to Grisband. Let's go ahead and place that right there. So that's 3 damage and 1 fatigue. The spider's going to move right here, 3, 4 right there. That's the end of the cave spider's turn. At the end of the Overlord turn, a cave spider gets a return. We're going to choose the master one right there, just 1. And then these specters drain stamina or fatigue, and it's based on how close the heroes are. So anyone next to the specter would lose 3, 2 away lose 2 fatigue, and then 3 away lose 1. So Grisband loses 1 fatigue. Let's go ahead and place that right there. Also, at the end of the Overlord turn, they're going to do Word of Despair. Everyone's going to have to test willpower here, and each one who fails that test will suffer 1 fatigue for each time they perform an action that is after the action is performed. So let's go ahead and start rolling the willpower tests. All right, Tatiana for willpower needs 2 or less. She ends up passing. All right, next up is Grisband. He needs to get a 3 or less. He fails, but he's going to use his lucky charm to redo the test. Let's go ahead and redo the test. Let's go ahead and see 3 or less again. He fails again, so we're going to place a fatigue token under his character miniature to remind me that he's going to use a fatigue each time he does an action this turn. Go ahead and put that right there. All right, on to Shalara's test. All right, Shalara needs to roll 3 or less for her test. She ends up failing, so we're also going to place a fatigue token under her miniature. All right, let's go ahead and put that right there. And the last person test is a Sharon. All right, she needs to roll 3 or less with her willpower. She also fails, so I'll also place a token under her miniature. All right, we're going to put that right there. And now it's time to start the hero's turn. All right, first up is Tatiana. She's going to spend 2 fatigue to move right here to not waste an action. Let's go ahead and place that on her. Then her first action is to use the search. She's going to search right here. She ends up getting a stamina potion, which is really good. I'm going to go ahead and place that there. And then her next action is going to be to move 5. She's going to move 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And in that process, she's going to hand off the stamina potion to Shalara. So let's go ahead and do that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 right there. Let's go ahead and pass off the potion. All right, Shalara now has the stamina potion. All right, that's the end of Tatiana's turn. Next up is Shalara, but she's going to use Bright Blaze first. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then her first action is to move 3. 1, 2, 3 right here. And then her second action will be to spend a fatigue for Exploding Rune. She has range 1, 2, 3, 4 on the Spectre to hit those 3, but she needs 3 range only because she has Scorpion Helm. She goes ahead and gets the fatigue for Word of Despair for moving. Also the fatigue for Exploding Rune. Let's go ahead and see what she gets for her attack. She gets a yellow die and a blue die for Sunburst. Remember, she needs 3 range. Let's see if she gets that. She does get that right here. She needs to do 4 damage to the Spectre. We'll roll for the spiders after this. All right, no surges, but she will spend a mana weave to get a surge right here to add 2 damage. So that's the whole blast attack is going to be doing 6 damage. So -2 for the Spectre. The Spectre goes down. All right, let's remove the Spectre from the map, and then let's roll for this spider next. This spider gets a gray die and has 5 health, so 6 against 1, which is enough to take out the cave spider. Let's go ahead and remove this one, and then we are going to roll for that cave spider's defense last. 1 gray die. All right, it's 6 damage going through, -3, so only 3 go through, so the spider's still alive. All right, let's go ahead and place the 3 right there, and then at the end of that attack, Shalara loses another fatigue for the Word of Despair. Let's go ahead and do that real quick. All right, we'll place that right there, and that's the end of Shalara's turn. All right, next up is Grisban. He's going to move 1, 2, 3, which costs him a fatigue for the Word of Despair. Let's go ahead and place that right there, and then he's going to make an attack. He gets to roll a red die and a blue die, and then he also has Weapon Mastery against the Cave Spider's gray defense die. He just needs to do 1 damage. He also has Pierce 1, so 4 damage against the 2. The Cave Spider gets taken out. All right, so let's go ahead and remove the spider right there. That does cost him a fatigue for the Word of Despair, because he's full on stamina. He takes a damage instead. So let's go ahead and place that, and that's the end of his turn. Sharon's going to go next, but because she's poisoned, she has to test for might. She has to get 2 or less. She does, so she gets to get rid of poison, and then she gets to do her first activation. She's going to use her Iron Spear to use Reach to attack the Cave Spider. It has 4 life left. She gets to roll a blue die and a yellow die, and the spider gets to roll a gray defensive die. All right, let's see what she ends up getting. It's going to be 3 damage and a surge, so let's lay this out right there. She doesn't have a Pierce yet. She can just use the surge right here, so 4 damage minus the 1. She ends up only doing 3 damage, which is not enough to take it out. We're going to go ahead and place the 3 damage right there, and then she loses a fatigue for the Word of Despair. All right, let's place that 3rd one right there. Next up, she's going to move 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then once again gets another fatigue for Word of Despair. Let's go ahead and place that right there, and that's the end of the hero's turn. At the beginning of the Overlord turn, we're going to add another fatigue to the timer. Once they reach 6, the Overlord wins, and then they are going to draw a card. Ends up being Dash for another movement, which is good. And then at the start of the turn, they're going to test Dark Charm. They're going to choose Shalara as the hero that has to test Willpower. Let's see what happens. All right, for Willpower, she has to get 3 or less. She ends up passing, so the Overlord, I believe, gets to draw another card. All right, they end up getting Tripwire right here. All right, that's good. All right, first up are the zombies. This one's going to move 3. 1, 2, 3. It has Shamble, so it can't move again. This one's going to go 1, 2, 3 right there. And then this one right here is going to go 1, 2, 3. And then this one, 1, 2, 3. And then this one's going to go 1, 2, 3. So right here, and then it's going to use a dash card to get another movement. They are allowed to do that. All right, let's go 1, 2, 3. And then for its 1 action, it's going to use the ability Grab. So Shalara has to test Strength. If she fails, she gets immobilized. All right, her strength or her might is 3. She has to get 3 or less. She passes. All right, that's the end of the zombies activation. Next up are the cave spiders. This one's going to move 1, 2, 3 right here, and it's going to attack Shalara with 2 yellow dice and a blue die, and then she gets a gray defensive die and a brown die. All right, let's see what everyone gets right here. We get a lot of damage, 3 damage, and it looks like 2 surges. So that's good right there. Let's go ahead and lay them all out. Shalara got 2 defense. The spider is going to do poison and 2 extra damage with the surges. So it's 5 against 2. So 3 damage and a poison go through to Shalara. All right, let's go ahead and place the 3 damage. And then also place the poison right here. And then that's the end of that spider's turn. This spider's going to go next. It's just going to go 1, 2, 3, 4 right there. And that's the end of the spiders. Alright, next up are the Myriads. So the first thing the Overlord's going to do for the Master one is use a dash, so it gets another extra action this turn. So with the dash, it's going to go 1, expand here. First action is to open this door. So let's go ahead and open that one right there. It's interrupting its movement. And then second action is to do flail. So it's going to attack these two with the blue die, red die, and the yellow die. It's going to go after Sharon first. She gets a gray die and a brown die. All right, let's see what everyone rolls right here. All right, that is a miss. Let me see if the Overlord can re-roll that. All right, they cannot re-roll that, and that counts as both attacks for the flail, so it's very unfortunate. It's going to continue its movement. All right, it's going to go right back over here, and then this Myriad's not going to do anything, so that's the end of the Overlord's turn. At the end of the Overlord's turn, they get to respawn one cave spider right over here in the corner. All right, at the beginning of the hero's turn, Shalara is going to go ahead and attack the spider, but before she does, she's poisoned and has to do a might test. She needs to roll 3 or less for her might. She passes, so we get to get rid of the poison right there. She gets to roll a yellow die and a blue die with Sunburst against the spider with a gray die, and she does have Pierce 1 from Bright Blaze. Let's see what she gets. Ooh, she ends up missing. Unfortunately, she has to use her second action to do the same thing. All right, she gets 4 damage and a surge. Let's see what she wants to do with the surge. Like I said, she just has to do 1 damage. So she does do 1 damage, and then she's going to use the other unspent surge to recover 2 fatigue for her Iron Will special power right here. So the spider gets taken out, and she gets to remove 2 fatigue right there. She's then going to spend 3 fatigue to get 3 movements. 1, 2, 3. All right, let's add that 3 right there. And then she's going to use her stamina potion to recover all of it, but then spend 3 more to get 3 more movements. She's going to go 1, 2, 3. And then at the end of her turn, she's going to move Bright Blaze. 1, 2, 3. We'll just go 4 right here underneath her. So it's going to get Pierce 1 to this Myriad. All right, that's the end of her turn. Grisman's going to move next. He's going to go 1, 2 next to the Myriad, but after he takes 1 step, the Overlord's going to use Tripwire, so he has to roll an awareness test or else he loses the rest of his movement action. His awareness is 1, so he has to get 1 or less. He fails. He's going to use the Lucky Charm right here to re-roll this test. He has to get a 1 or less again. Oops, sorry. He ends up passing, so he can continue his movement. He's going to go right here. He still has 1 movement left, and then he's going to interrupt it to make an attack action with his Iron Axe. He gets a blue die and a red die, Pierce from Bright Blaze, Pierce from his axe. The Myriad gets 2 gray defensive dice. The Myriad has 9 health, so let's see what happens. It has to go into the castle. We got 4 damage and a surge. Let's go right there. And then the Myriad got 2 defense. So with the surge, we're going to add 2 more, and then use Weapon Master to get another surge, to get another pierce. So it's 6 damage with pierce of 1, 2 plus Bright Blaze, so 3. So that completely gets rid of the defense. So the Myriad takes 6 damage. All right, we're going to go ahead and place that right there. And then Grisman's going to use his Heroic Feat to attack the Myriad once again. So he has to flip over his tile to show that he's using it right there. All right, the Myriad has 3 health left, so let's see what happens with the Iron Battle Axe. We got 4 damage, plus a Surge, plus a Pierce for the Axe and Bright Blaze. So that's only 1 damage, so that is 3 damage enough to take him out. He's going to use the Unspent Surge to remove a Fatigue as well. All right, so we're going to remove the Myriad right there, but then the Overlord's going to do Rise again. So we're going to place a Fatigue token right there, and then they get 1 more turn with this at the beginning of the next turn. So let's go ahead and place that right there. So it's going to be able to be respawned. And then we remove the Fatigue from Grisman for the Unspent Surge. All right, Sharon's going to go next. She's going to move 1, 2, 3, interrupt her movement to attack the 1, 2, the spider over there with Reach. She's attacking with the Iron Spear. She gets a blue die and a yellow die, and the spider gets a gray defensive die. All right, let's see what she gets. She ends up doing 3 damage. There is no pierce, unfortunately, against the 2. So 1 damage goes through. Let's go ahead and place the 1 damage, and then she will end her turn there. Tatiana is going to go last. She's going to spend a Fatigue to get an extra free movement. She's going to use that free movement to go here. Then she's going to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then she's going to go ahead and attack the spider with the Elm Great Bow. She gets a blue die and a yellow die. All right. And the spider gets a gray defensive die. She doesn't have to worry about range because she only needs 1. So she ends up doing this. She could re-roll the yellow die if she wants, but she doesn't think so. All right. So she's going to add 2 damage right there. So it's 4 damage minus 1. So 3 damage goes through, and the unspent surge will remove a fatigue. Let's go ahead and add the 3 damage right there. 1, 2, 3, and then remove the fatigue. All right, let's remove that. And that's the end of the hero's turn. All right, at the start of the Overlord's turn, we're going to add another fatigue to the timer. Once I hit 6, they end up winning the game. Then we're going to draw 1 more Overlord card right here. Poison Dart Trap. And then they also get to do Rise again with a Myriad to bring them back for just this turn. Let's go ahead and place them. It has to be within 5 spaces of this fatigue right there. So we're going to go ahead and place it right there. All right, the spiders are going to go first. This one's going to go 1 and interrupt its movement to attack a Sharon here with 2 yellow die and a blue die. And then she gets a gray die and a brown die, and it has a shield. All right, let's see what we get. Get a bunch of dice. Let's go ahead and lay all of these out. This is the Master Spider. It's going to be a lot of damage and a lot of surges. And then a Sharon got 4 defense. She's going to do this to get a 5th one. So it's 5 defense. The spider's doing 4 damage and 3 surges, 1 for each of these abilities. So 4, 5, 6, 7 damage and poison against 5. So 2 damage and a poison goes through. All right, let's go ahead, place the damage and then the poison and continue the cave spider's movement. All right, it moved 1, 2, 3. It's going to actually, it's going to stay right here because its web ability will stop the heroes, or it costs them fatigue. All right, so then it's the next spider's turn. It's going to go right over here. That's the end of the spider's activation. All right, the zombies are going to go next. This one's going to go 1, 2, 3. This one's going to also go 1, 2, 3. This one's going to try to catch up. 1, 2, 3. This one's going to actually backtrack. 1, 2, 3. It just wants to make space for the myriads right there. This one's going to move 1, interrupt its movement to make attack on a Sharon, and then it's going to continue its movement. It gets to roll a yellow die, a blue die, and that's it. A Sharon gets a gray die and a brown die, but she already used her shield. Ooh, that's not good for her. All right, so no defense right there. And then we have 1 damage and a surge. We could use disease, but we're going to go ahead and add 2 more damage. So 3 damage goes through to a Sharon. All right, we're going to exchange the 2 plus a 3 for the 5 there. And then the zombie is going to continue its movement. All right, it's going to finish up its movement right there. And that's the end of the zombie activation. All right, next up is this Myriad, which only lasts 1 turn. It's going to do a movement action from this corner. So it's going to go 1, expand right here, interrupt its movement to then do a flail attack, which allows them to hit 2 characters. So a Sharon and Tatiana. It gets to roll a blue die, a yellow die, and a red die. It's going to go ahead and go against a Sharon with her gray die and brown die first. All right, let's see what gets rolled. All right, we end up doing, it looks like 5 damage and a surge, but let me line them all up. This is going to be for both attacks. And then a Sharon gets 2 defense right there. And then the surge is going to end up being immobilized. So actually, it's going to do 3 more damage. It's just too much damage to pass up. So that is going to be 8 damage minus 2. So 6 goes through a Sharon. All right, so this actually ends up knocking out a Sharon. So we go ahead and fill up her hearts and fatigue. She does lose the poison. We go ahead and remove her figure from the map and place her hero token right there. Then the Overlord also gets a threat token for the first time they defeat each hero during each encounter. So we'll go ahead and use that as a reminder. All right, now Tatiana has to roll her dice right there. I do have to rewind a little bit because the heavy cloak that Tatiana has gets to cancel a surge from an attack that targets her. So then the Myriad doesn't get the 3 extra damage, which then leaves a Sharon actually at 1 health left. So she never gets KO'd. So let's go ahead and backtrack that. So she goes back on the board right here. And then we get these tokens. They go back as well. All right, now Tatiana's getting hit. It's 6 damage going through, and she gets a great defensive die. So she gets a 1. So she gets hit for 5 damage. Actually, sorry, it's a 5 minus 1, so 4 damage. Let's go ahead and place the 4 damage right there, and then the Myriad's going to continue its movement. It was using this spot right here, so it has 2 more movement left, 1, 2. It's just going to expand there. It's going to go away at the end of the turn, but it needs to make room for this one. This one's going to go. It's going to shrink down, use this space, 1, 2, interrupt its movement, and decide to attack a Sharon right here. It gets a yellow, red, and a blue. A Sharon gets a gray and a brown. Let's see what happens. That is a lot of damage. I don't even know if we have to use any surges. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Surge for immobilized, sure. -1. A Sharon does get knocked out now. All right, let's once again remove her figure from the map. Put the hero token right here. Get the threat token and the hero token reminder that the Overlord can only collect 1 on a Sharon. And then the Myriad's going to complete its movements from that space right over here and then re-expand. That is the end of the Overlord's turn. At the end of the turn, this Rise Again Myriad's gone, and then there's a Cave Spider, a regular minion spawns right there, as well as the Specters are going to drain some fatigue. Tatiana is 1, 2, 3 spaces away. She loses 1 from that, 1, 2, 3, and 1 from that, so she loses 2 fatigue from the Specters. All right, the first one fills her up, and then the next one causes a damage. All right, there you go. Shalara is going to go first, but before her turn, she's going to move Bright Blaze 4. So let's go ahead and move Bright Blaze 1, 2, 3 right here. All right, so Pierce 1 and anyone adjacent to the targets of those attacks. And then she's going to move 2, 1, 2, interrupt her movement to spend 1 fatigue on Exploding Rune to target this zombie, which is also going to hit the Spectre, the 2 Cave Spiders, and the Myriad. All right, let's go ahead and roll the dice. Let's place the fatigue for the Exploding Rune first. She gets a yellow die and a blue die, and then she's going to roll for the brown die for the zombie first. Let's see what happens. All right, let's add up all of her damage. This is going to be for her whole blast attack. The zombie gets nothing. The first surge is going to be +2 damage. The second surge right here is stun, and then she's going to use Mana Weave Ring to then add a fatigue to get 2 more damage. Let's go ahead and do that real quick. Add the fatigue right there. So she's doing 6 damage, stun, and pierce 1. That definitely takes out the zombie. Let's go ahead and remove the zombie right there. And then we are going to roll for the gray die for the cave spider right over there. All right, the spider has 5 health. So it's 3 defense. So that was 6 damage and pierce 1. So 4 damage goes through and stun. Let's go ahead and place the 4 damage and stun right there. We are then going to roll for the Myriad next. It gets 2 gray defensive dice. Let's see what it rolls. It gets 4 defense, but we have pierce 1. So 6 damage minus the 3 is 3 damage and stun as well. All right, let's go ahead and place that right there. And then we are going to roll the Master Cave Spider's gray defensive die. It has 3 health left. It gets 1 defense, well, none because of the pierce. So that Master Cave Spider gets taken out. Let's go ahead and remove that right there. So that's gone. And then the last one is going to be the Spectre, which gets a black defensive die. It has 4 health, so let's see what happens. It gets no defense, so the Spectre gets taken out. All right, let's go ahead and remove the Spectre. All right, she's going to continue her movement and then move 1 right there. That's the end of Shalara's turn. Actually, I'm going to add 1 more fatigue to have her go 1 more movement. And we're going to bring her right over here. Now it's the end of her turn. All right, Tatiana gets to go next. She's going to attack at this Myriad. She needs to get 2 range, well, 1 range because of her ability. She's going to roll with her Elm Great Bow, a blue die, and a yellow die against 2 gray defensive dice. And she also has Bright Blaze for Pierce 1. Let's see what she ends up getting. She ends up missing. Let's see if there's anything she can do about it. She cannot, so her second action is to move 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, let's go right over there. And that's the end of her turn. Grisben's going to go next. He's going to pick up a Sharon right here, so he rolls 2 red dice. All right, let's see how much she heals. She heals 6 health and then 1 fatigue, so let's go ahead and do that. All right, so it's 5, 6, 1 fatigue, and then we bring her back to the map. All right, there you go. And then in his second action, he's going to use his fortune token to remove a fatigue. So let's go ahead and spend this right here to get rid of a fatigue, to then use 2 fatigue to charge and attack the Myriads. Let's go ahead and put that there. Gets to go 1, 2, 3 right here. He gets 2 pierce, a blue die, and a red die with his iron battle axe, and he also has weapon mastery. The Myriad gets 2 gray defensive dice. All right, let's see what it ends up getting. He just needs to do 4 damage, I believe, to take out this Myriad. Remember, there's 2 Pierce. The Myriad did get 4 defensive dice. We have 1 Surge. We're going to use Weapon Master to get 2 Surge to add 2 damage and a Pierce. So that's 5 damage and 3 Pierce. So 4 damage goes through, which is just enough to knock it out. All right, let's go ahead and remove the Myriad, and that's the end of Grisben's turn. All right, as Sharon's going to take the last turn, she's going to go ahead and use her first action for search. So let's see what she ends up finding. She gets a health potion right there. Then her second move is going to be, her second action is going to be to move. 1, 2, 3, 4 right there. That's the end of the hero's turn. All right, at the beginning of the Overlord turn, we're going to add 1 more fatigue to the timer. Once this reaches 6, that's the end of the scenario. The Overlord also gets to respawn 1 zombie in the embalming chamber right there. And they also get to draw a card, which ends up being Frenzy for an additional attack. All right, the Cave Spider's going to go first. This one's stunned, so its first action is to remove the stun. Second action is to attack Grisben right here. It gets 2 yellow dice and a blue die, and he gets 2 gray defensive dice. All right, let's see what everyone rolls right here. Spread all of these out. It's going to be, looks like 4 damage and 2 surges and 4 defense. So we're going to add a surge for poison and 2 damage. So that is 6 damage and a poison. So 2 goes through as well as the poison. All right, exchange these 3 for a 5. So 2 damage goes through right there. And then we also get the poison. All right, this cave spider in the corner is going to go next. It's going to move 1, 2, 3, 4. It's going to attack Shalara right there. It gets 2 yellow die and a blue die, and then she gets a gray die and a brown die. All right, let's see what we end up rolling. No defense for Shalara, and then the spider got 3 damage and 2 surges. So let's lay this out real quick. We're going to use the first surge for poison, the second surge for 2 more damage. So that is 5 damage and poison on Shalara. All right, let's go ahead and add the 5 damage and the poison. Actually, at this point, she's going to use the warding talisman to have prevented 2 of that. I just saw that right now. All right, next up are the zombies. This one's going to move 1, 2, 3. This one over here is going to go 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. This one's going to try to block the exit right there because you have to actually use a movement point on one of these 2 spaces, not the whole tile. And then this zombie is going to go 1 right there, and then it's going to attack Shalara with a yellow die and a blue die. She gets a brown die and a gray die. All right, let's see what happens. Have to throw that in the castle. All right, we end up doing 2 damage and a surge, and then there's 3 defense right there. The zombie is going to use the surge for plus 2 more damage. So 4 against a 3, only 1 damage goes through to Shalara. Let's go ahead and put the damage right there. That's the end of the zombie's turn. At the end of the Overlord's turn, we get to place a cave spider right there. We're going to choose the master spider, and then the specters are going to drain fatigue. So let's see how many Grisben goes first. He's 2 spaces away from each of them, so that's 2 fatigue for each. He's full up on fatigue, so he takes 4 damage. Let's go ahead and change that 1 to a 5 right there. Shalara is the only one in range. She is 3 spaces away from each of them. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. So she loses 2 fatigue, but she's also full, so she takes 2 damage. Let's go ahead and place 2 damage right there, and that's the end of the Overlord's turn. All right, Sharon's going to take the first action. She's going to open the door right there, and then she's going to move 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, and then she goes out right there. Actually, sorry, I'm going to have her go 1, 2, 3. Yeah, she's going to go right 4 right there. She's actually going to try to get the search token, and then she'll try to go out. Shalara's going to go next. She's low on life, so she's going to go 1, 2, 3, and then 1, 2. She's going to escape. She does have to roll for her poison at the start of the turn. It might test a 3 or less. She ends up failing, so she takes a damage right there, but she still has 1 more health because of the leather armor down over here. All right, so let's add that, and then, yeah, she did escape. Tatiana's going to go next. She's going to attack this zombie with the Elm Great Bow. She gets a blue die and a yellow die against a brown die. All right, she has to do 5 damage. Let's see what she gets. She has 2 damage and 2 surges, so we're going to do a couple things. She could re-roll this if she wants. It's a little too risky. She's just going to keep it as it lies. 1 surge for 2 more damage. So 4 damage against the 1 is only 3 damage. So we'll go ahead and do that. Let's place the 3 damage right over here. And then she's going to spend her unspent surge to remove a fatigue. So let's go ahead and remove that. And then she's going to use her second action to move. She's going to go 1, 2, 3, and then she's out. Grisban's going to go next, but he has to test might for poison. He has a might of 5, so he has to get 5 or less. He is good, so that gets removed right there. Then he's going to move 1, 2, 3, and then 1, 2, 3 right there. That's the end of the hero's turn. At the beginning of the Overlord's turn, a fatigue gets added to the timer, so the heroes will only get 1 more turn until this first part of the encounter is done. And the Overlord also draws a card, which is another frenzy. All right, first up is going to be the spiders. This one's going to go 1, 2, 3, 4. This one's going to go 1, 2, 3, 4 down there. It's carry its damage tokens. And then this one's going to go 1, 2, 3, 4 right here. And attack on Grisban. It gets 2 yellow dice and a blue dice against his 2 gray defensive dice. He has 3 health left, so let's see what happens. He got really good defense right there, so that's 6 against no surges, so 5 against 6. So, yep, Grisban takes no damage. The Overlord's going to play a Frenzy card to have the Cave Spider attack again. All right, it's just trying to do 3 damage. Let's go ahead and roll that real quick. This might end up doing it. So we have 3 damage and 3 surges, and then 2 defense. So plus 2 damage is going to be 4 damage against 2. So, sorry, that's 5 damage against 2. So that's the 3 damage to take out Grisban. All right, so we fill up his health and his stamina right there, and then we remove his figure from the map. So his figure goes off of the map, and we add a hero token to represent where he can stand up. And then the Overlord gets another threat token, and then they can only get 1 per hero per encounter. All right, next up is the zombies. This one's going to go 1, 2, 3. This one's going to go 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. This one's going to go 1, 2, 3 right here, just to try to be obnoxious. And then this one's going to move right up here to block the exit. All right. That is the end of the Overlord's turn. At the end of the turn, the Cave Spider gets to spawn as well. All right, Sharon's going to take the first action. She's going to move 1, 2, and attack the spider and spend a fatigue to do Drain Spirit. So she does at least 1 damage to the spider. Everyone within 3, including her, heals 1. She gets a yellow die and a blue die, and the spider gets a gray defensive die. Let's add the fatigue for Drain Spirit right there. All right, she needs to do 1 damage. Let's see what she ends up rolling. She gets 4 damage and a surge. The spider gets 3 defense right there. She's going to use the surge for sure another damage. So 5 against 3 is 2 damage, which is enough to take out the spider, but the Overlord's going to use Armor of Darkness to spend the threat token right here to exhaust this to get 2 more defense, so the spider takes no damage. The heroes are going to have Shalara take the fortune token right there. Shalara has more movement, but she can't really do anything because the hero's turn is about to end. Grisban's going to take his only action, which is to stand up, so he rolls 2 red dice. He does get an extra 2 extra health for Brute, so let's see how much he heals. He heals up for, 7 health and 1 fatigue. All right, let's go ahead and heal the 7 health right there, and then the 1 fatigue, and then he goes back on the board. He goes right there, and that's the end of the hero's turn. All right, at the beginning of the Overlord's turn, they get to draw another card first. This is going to be Tripwire. It's going to be good for encounter part 2. And then this ends this particular encounter part 1. Because there are 2 heroes on the map, the Overlord gets 2 hero tokens to use for raising the alarm in the second part. All right, that's the end of the Prison of Khinn.
Thank you for watching. Don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel. Good night.